Oh, hey guys, and welcome to another exciting chat here on Life by Design. And today we have, he's a broadcaster, he's an entrepreneur, and he's a pastor. And his name is Shane Ngwenya. Thank you, Shane, for affording us the time to chat to you once again.
Thank you for having me.
Well, the first time on this platform.
On this platform,
right.
Yeah.
And I said I was going to come back because your story is so juicy, if I can put it that way.
You're a woman of your word. That's all I know.
Right.
You're here now, so
okay.
yeah.
Now, I'm happy that at least I came across that way. Now, I said you're a broadcaster,
Yes.
you are an entrepreneur, you
Yes.
are a pastor.
Yes.
It's the latter part that I want us to talk the most about, seeing that you are right where it all happens.
Yes,
right.
yes.
How did this come about, the pastor side of things?
The pastor side of things it's always been part and parcel of my journey. I think the time was just that, I wasn't ready at the time. And fast forward, God was like, you know what, I think now it's time for you to finally jump. The call has always been there. It's a call that I knew God had placed in my life since 2004. 2008 it became more clearer.
How old were you?
I was 19. I was in matric actually.
And you knew that.
That's when I got saved. Okay. That's when my life changed in matric. And I remember my first sermon was at the same school. I was wearing my school uniform, ministering to the students, well, to the whole entire school basically. And 115 kids gave their lives to God that day. I wrote down their names, their surnames, and each grade, and I still have that list to this day.
Right, and so you knew from then that you were marked.
I knew from then.
Any pointers? Like our elders would say, this child, you are called. Anything when you're growing up that was pointing to that direction?
Nothing. I grew up in a religious family. But we all know that especially in a black household, especially in the African context, you were forced to go to church regardless. No one was your grandparents especially would not go to church and you'd stay in the house watching TV. It was never going to happen. So I grew up in a predominantly Methodist church. That's where my grandfather was actually a priest and so forth. But I think I also had to find God for myself. And that happened, obviously, I was much older, in my late teens, and I was in matric when I myself changed my life, or gave my life for change.
So you are young at the time that this is happening.
Yes.
I mean, there are so many things that you want to do as a young person.
Absolutely.
How did you embrace that, the calling, and
calling,
also try to still go ahead and do what you wanted to do?
It's funny because the moment you're saying this, I can't help but think of a certain situation that actually happened, because remember I'm in matric.
Yeah.
And parents after matric, they're expecting you to say, dude, you're going to go to varsity and study and this and that. Yeah. I had such a big burning desire to go to Bible school. And I remember applying at Bible school, and also applying at, it was a AAA at the time. And they both accepted me at the same time.
Whoa.
And I had to choose, obviously, going to Bible school, some family members would not be happy about that. Be like,
straight from
you understand? Like, dude, Bible go to school, go to varsity. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So I remember, I literally got accepted in both, and I remember attending during the day. I would go to to varsity. During the evening, I would go to Bible school.
Right.
I tried doing that, didn't work. I had to sacrifice one.
Yeah.
At that time, I sacrificed Bible school and I did my varsity. And then at a later stage, then I went back to Bible school and I completed that. I did my 3 years.
Was this now after you completed varsity?
Yes.
And then straight from there you went to Bible school?
I went to Bible school.
Right.
And then I did my Bible school, and then, the rest is history. And
I'm sure at that time there was no plan really. You were just obedient perhaps?
In terms of
going to Bible school, but was there a plan that thereafter, then this is what I'm going to do in terms of ministry? Or this is what I want to pursue because I have, a passion for radio? What followed Bible school?
What followed? I think, so radio happened during Bible school.
Okay.
I was in first year when I remember going, at that time I think we're still using Vodacom containers.
Yes.
I remember going there and I called Rainbow FM and they said they were looking for a news presenter and a sports presenter.
Right.
And I said, look, I want this gig. I want to do this because I've always had a passion for radio as well.
Yes.
Already.
Yes.
Dating back to my passion that was triggered or inspired by the YFM era at the time.
Yes.
DJ Fresh, that whole
Yes.
school of radio. Yes. Yeah, when radio was still radio.
Don't say that.
Maybe I shouldn't say
Radio
that.
is still radio.
Radio is still radio. Don't misquote me on
We're in
that.
the radio space.
Yeah,
We
of
love
course.
what we do.
Yeah, but at that time, I mean, I definitely loved radio, and I think it was more inspired by that era, the YFM era,
Yes.
your DJ Freshes of this world, the Bad Boy T's of this world at that time.
Yeah.
And I was at Bible school, then I applied and I got the gig at Rainbow FM. I started doing sports at Rainbow. So here I am, I'm doing radio and I'm doing Bible school. I always knew that these two can marry each other.
That's actually what I want us
Yeah.
to focus on. Like, how did you know?
Yes.
And how were you planning to make it work?
Yes. So I've always known that these two can work hand in hand. Because Rainbow FM, I'm there, I'm still doing, gospel, we're still, ministering, whatever the case is. And Bible school, I'm pursuing what I believe I'm supposed to be trained to do in the future. And to cut a long story short, it happened that way. I did Rainbow FM for 2 years. As I was finishing as I was finishing Bible school, at my last year, which was my third year, then I applied for commercial radio. So I transitioned from moving from community to commercial.
Yes.
And I remember there's so many elements that...
And it had always been a desire of yours
Absolutely.
to go to that space.
Absolutely.
Now, because our main focus is on the pastor side of things,
Yes.
if you don't know Shane's story, I mean, there's a brilliant
Yeah,
episode
yeah.
that you can listen to.
Yes.
Yeah, the radio version
The radio
of
version.
Live by Design. So,
Yes.
you are at Kaya FM, doing well. And did you share with some of your colleagues that you had a calling to be in ministry? Because some of them were addressing you as a pastor already.
I'm surprised you know that.
I know.
No, they did. Till today. They're like, dude, we've always known.
And
know?
you never told them?
No, not really. No, I didn't say anything. Actually, I think for me it was more leading the lifestyle, leading by example. I didn't feel the need maybe to stand in the pulpit, and
Right.
I just felt, let me just be. And by becoming or whatever, that's how they addressed me. I mean, a lot of guys would say, hey, Pastor
And I guess
Shane.
when it's on you, it's really on you.
Yes.
People can see it.
Yes.
And there's no running away from
There's
it.
no running away.
And speaking of running away, did you ever try?
I did. For 13 years.
For 13 years.
13 years.
Take us through that.
So remember we were at Bible school, so I finished that. So after Bible school, then I went full-time radio. I was in radio for plus minus 12 years.
Right.
Kaya for about 10 years. So in between that, it was radio, it was business. It was just me saying, you know what, I need to make it.
Yeah.
And all I'm thinking is the Benjamins. I'm thinking,
Right.
the racks making money,
Yeah.
building, doing this, doing that. And God has always, throughout that period, He has always said, dude, yeah, you're doing well, but I'm calling you for this. And I just felt like I was never ready to go full time, to quit everything, or to like literally jump and say, okay,
Yeah.
this is the day I'm going to start my ministry. I was scared. I think more than anything, fear gripped me.
Yeah.
Because I looked at myself and I said, I don't qualify. Who am I to want to start a ministry? There are much greater, better people out there that I think can do a better job. I've got a history, I've got a past myself. It's not like I came from a cloud somewhere,
Right. Yeah.
So I've got my flaws. So I think I looked at myself and I judged myself and I was like, no, I'm not ready for this. I don't think I'll ever be, not now. But because of God's love, grace, and patience with me, it was a 13-year journey, because when He gave me the vision to start the ministry, the church, It was in 2008.
Okay.
And I still have that vision to this day.
You wrote it down.
I wrote it down, word upon word, line upon line. I probably have it on my phone if I were to check on my email somewhere, but it's there. And that's the vision I carried. And no matter what I did, everything would just bring me back to this vision. And I think that's the important part, where even the Bible says, write down your vision. Make it plain, so that those who read it may be able to, you know what I mean? So that is what kept me in check. Yes, there were times where I would, sidestep, whatever, but that's what eventually brought me to where I am today, 13 years later. And it's by far the best decision I've ever made.
Right, very fulfilling.
Extremely.
Now, the reason why we're even talking to you is because we acknowledge, or I do acknowledge the fact that, we are called as people, but sometimes we will have those doubts like you had. How did you silence those voices that were saying you were inadequate, you who are you? You don't know much. Yeah.
I've got a favorite saying that says that God doesn't call the qualified, but He qualifies the called.
I like that.
It was a battle. It was an internal warfare more than anything. To say, like you're saying, I don't feel like I qualify. I don't feel like this is. Yeah. But there came a time where I just could not run anymore, and I think God was just like he had it. It was like enough, like to say, dude, just do this. Yeah. And I think for me it was a matter of just being obedient in the midst of the doubt, the fear. And whatever noise was going on. I just had to get to a point where it was like, I have to make this decision. Otherwise, if I don't, I'll never have peace, I'll never have joy, I'll never be 100% fulfilled.
And it happened at the time when you wanted to be radio-wise, and also you had started a business which was, which came from God as well. Yeah. And so it was at the right time to set those things aside and go with what God was calling you to do.
Without a shadow of a doubt. The timing thereof is too perfect, right, to say the least.
So there were no doubts about it. You just knew that, look, this is now the time to do this. So you will know when it's time.
I'm currently at the right place, at the right time, doing the right thing. Nothing missing, nothing broken.
Right.
I'm complete.
You're complete.
To the T, yeah.
So I have this belief.
Yeah.
I have a story of my own. I'll tell it some other time when maybe you interview me.
It's coming, yeah.
It's not about me, it's about you. Yeah. But I would say this, that I've always had passion for radio, like you did. Yeah. The thing that I did was to define my life by what I was doing in terms of radio. Like, I would say radio is my life. And I thought that was okay. And when the time for me to go to Bible school came, I asked a lot of questions, but I never had this, in my plans. Why this? Why now? All of that. Yeah. I remember hearing the Lord saying that you have your priorities, like, you don't have them straight. You put the last thing first and the first thing last.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And yet, when I was done with Bible school, then He opened the door again to go back to radio. But now I had everything aligned. I knew that it's not radio, then God, it's God and what He wants me to do. And then He did put that passion in you for a reason. So He's not taking it away from you. He's not stripping you of it. Right. So having said that, will you be going back to the space, or are you back already, the radio space?
You see, part of what's going to happen in this ministry is we are going to have our own radio station.
Awesome.
You understand? Right. So it's part of the vision. So I believe I had to go through radio for a reason, and it's starting to make sense now.
Yes.
To say that there's nothing wrong with the medium. There's nothing wrong with loving the medium.
It's got to put that desire.
You understand? Yeah, the desire. In fact, I think for me it was probably one of the best careers I've ever been in. Because I loved I loved it, and I still do. I can't separate myself from radio because I feel like, they say that the radio bug, when it bites you, That's true. I love radio. I mean, I did a show just the other day. I was invited by another ministry. They've got a radio station. And when I walked in and I saw that, I was like, wow, what do you know? This is it. And Hope Generation will have its own radio station, TV station, whatever you want to call it, media. Media as a whole will be part and parcel of the ministry. And that's where we're going to go to eventually. And yeah, so...
And isn't it interesting as well to note that media is one of the pillars that are used
Yes.
in advancing the gospel.
Without a shadow of a doubt.
So God is looking for us in the media space that would use that for His kingdom.
Which is why we're here today. This is media.
Exactly.
If you were not here with the cameras and everything else, and this message wouldn't be out there.
Right.
So we do need media. It's a must. It's a need. We have to have it. So I think for me, it's exciting times, and radio, without a doubt, it's part and parcel of what's going to happen. Right. So yeah, I think I had to go through it so that when I eventually say I'm doing radio for the ministry, it's with excellence, with experience, and I'll know how to run the station and who to use, whatever. So there's an advantage in going through what we go through in life. Nothing goes to waste.
Right.
If you can turn it around and give it back to God for His glory. So I don't think anything's a waste. So yeah.
Right. So now we see how the radio passion and the ministry merge, as you mentioned earlier.
Yes.
Now let's talk about the entrepreneurship side of things. It was God inspired in the first place.
Yes.
How is He?
Okay, so
fusing it.
So he's fusing it, and he's going to continue fusing it because the entrepreneurship side of things and business, it's important to be successful in that and actually pursue that, so that those finances we can sustain the kingdom, and grow. How do we expect to have those radio stations and TV stations and billboards and go out there and do all these things without the finances? If it's one thing that is a huge challenge in ministry, is finances. You need money.
Right.
Yeah. So when you've got resources, it's easier to, number one, put your message out there, and you can package it and do whatever you want to do and be effective. So I believe that part of business, like you said, it was God ordained as well, and it was a God-given vision. He will bless that so that we can extend and enlarge the kingdom. Yeah.
And God is raising men and women of integrity who will not,
Thank you.
con people.
Thank you.
So if He gives you a vision for a business, He will also give you vision supporters, so that while you're doing His work here, that work continues to be done, because there are people that He has brought to help you.
Absolutely.
Right.
I couldn't have said it better myself. That's what it is. And it's unfortunate that, as believers and the body of Christ in general, there's been so many things happening in the church where people are being conned, and everyone is chasing money, and people are just, it's a mess. But it's up to us to restore that, to lead by example. For me, success is seeing other people succeed.
Right.
Yesterday we were out at Zandspruit, and it was a community drive, donating clothes, toys, food and so forth for Christmas. And for me, that is what I believe church is or should be.
Yes.
It's about giving back. It's about empowering. It's about changing communities and people's lives. My dream and my vision, even with the business element, is that the more we get blessed, is the more we're going to be a blessing to other people. Isn't it so beautiful to walk into a church and you are going through stuff, real stuff, whether it's you don't have food in the fridge or your rent money is short, and as the church we can actually plug you and say, listen, we can actually get you a job here or whatever, start a business, or assist you even
That's
to
what a church should be doing.
you understand, not the other way around where people are bringing so that I can be okay and start driving in Ferraris and stuff. I think it should be the other way around. So there's nothing wrong with being blessed, but I think be blessed to be a blessing. Genuinely change the people that are associated with you and around you. And I think that's what I believe. That's what I'm all about. That's what we are all about as a ministry. And I believe that's why God chose the name Hope Generation, to give hope to our generation. There's a lot of young people that come to our church, young people that I mentor, groom, disciple, so that they can become thought leaders and be leaders that can go into the communities and change. So I don't see why we can't do this
Right.
the way it's supposed to be
No,
done.
we
yeah.
have to.
Yeah,
we really have to.
Yeah.
And what I like about the way church looks these days, not that there's anything wrong with traditional church,
Yeah.
pastors that are there full time, whatever the case may be. What I like today is that there are so many dynamics to the church. You get a pastor like you, who is a businessman, and you're planning to use your passion for radio to advance the gospel.
Yeah.
And then you will get somebody, because we just want to make it clear, there are people who will be called out of
Yes.
what they're doing
Yes.
right into the work of the ministry, and that's all that they have to do.
Yes.
But if you have not been told to do that,
Yes.
you can still be effective
Absolutely.
in ministry
Absolutely.
while you are, working wherever that God opened doors for you to work.
Absolutely. I say this all the time. I preach this all the time to say it doesn't mean leave whatever you're doing to run to the fivefold ministry. Your fivefold ministry could be in your business, could be at work, wherever you're working, to change people's lives there, be an influence there. Unless he says leave everything and, then you can do that. But I think we also need to use wisdom.
Yes.
And understand that we are called, sometimes we are called to where we are already, to be the light and salt in that situation, in that community, in that workplace. And the rest.
Because we need kingdom financiers,
Yes,
and some of us are called to, bring finances into the church that pastors have started, and that's our role. And so it's okay to also do it like that.
Without a doubt, without a shadow of a doubt. I think once we all work together, there are kings and priests. The kings are the ones that go out there, make the money, and the priests are the ones that deliver the word of God. But if those two can actually coexist, it's all about advancing the kingdom of God.
Right.
I believe also when you are given this responsibility and people can actually see the tangible side of things, that you are actually doing something to change people's lives and advance the gospel, but in a very practical, real way, where you are not just, people already, they will sow into that vision.
Definitely. And then to that person that has fear gripping them, they know they are called. What do you say to them?
Can I tell you a quick story? Why and how I eventually started? For so long, I knew God said start. This year was worse than all the other years.
Right.
It was like, this is it, there's no turning back. I didn't know the date, I didn't know when, I didn't know how, but I knew I had to. God brought someone in my life to give me a date, and he said, dude, on the 30th of July, we're having the vision night. And that's it. And that's how I will never look back. Started the vision night, and the rest is history. So what I'm trying to say is sometimes all you need is be practical. You need to start, okay, why are you fearful? Ask yourself those questions. Are you fearful because you used to lead a certain lifestyle, for instance? Maybe you were popping bottles at Konka. You can edit that if you want.
I know we're keeping that.
Maybe you were popping bottles at Konka, and now you feel there's this pressure because now people know you to do this or you do that. And there's this self-condemnation. I'm from there, I know what I'm talking about. And maybe you've made some mistakes in your own personal life, married, divorced, this and that. So there's so much condemnation and judgment that you feel unworthy. But when all is said and done, remember, God calls the qualified, and God doesn't call the qualified, but qualifies the called. In other words, then you need to look at yourself and say, you have nothing to lose. You have one life. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. Jump. The time is now.
Right.
There's so many things we still want to do. There's so many things we still want to do, have, but we don't. But do I stop? No.
You
Keep on,
Yeah. And you're not going to know it all, because I had this thing that, but you don't know the Bible from the beginning to the end. Now, how do you think you're going to... No, you don't have to know it all. No. But God will guide you.
Yes, God looks for availability more than anything.
Mm-hmm.
You see, God doesn't look for perfection. He looks for people who are available to step out in faith, put everything aside and just close. I didn't sleep for the first month when I started here. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep because Sunday I'm preaching, then the whole of Saturday I could not fall asleep because of nerves, being scared, and thinking to myself, dude, are you crazy? What in the world do you think you're doing? But I do it scared every Sunday, but I do it anyway.
You do it anyway, and God always shows up.
And He always shows up. He always shows up. Yeah.
Beautiful. And how can people support the ministry?
People can support the ministry. First and foremost, they can check out our website. It's hopegeneration.co.za. So it's the 3 W's. Hopegeneration.co.za. We've got our information there. But more than anything, I think for me, the biggest support that we need as a ministry, kingdom finances, people who would say they will partner with the ministry.
Yeah.
People who would say they want to come and be involved and volunteer, especially those who don't have a home. Come and involve, come and see what we're doing on a Sunday, or whatever the case is. Right now we are looking for people who can, lead us in praise and worship. We need instruments. So there's a lot of things. We need people like you guys with great cameras and lighting, So
this is your place of worship.
This is our place of worship. This is where we are. The good thing about this place, and it's only by God's grace, is it's comfortable. The chairs are comfortable.
Very comfortable.
There's air conditioning and everything.
You like going to cinemas, right? Yeah.
Yeah. But I think for me that's it. It's just a call to say, look, if you are sitting at home, maybe you don't have a church or a home, come visit us. Come see what we're all about. And you never know, maybe you can exercise your gift in this place. There's so many things we can do. Like I said yesterday, we were out at Zanspruit, community outreach.
And the beautiful thing about church these days is also online. So wherever you are, you can support.
You can support, absolutely.
Right. You can join the online family.
Absolutely.
Where do they find you?
Excuse me. So we've got a YouTube channel, Hope Generation Worldwide on YouTube. We also stream our services. I usually use my Instagram, which I'll gradually grow into other church. Well, I do, but I've been using mine. I think because I've got a few just a little bit more numbers. Maybe I'm trying to use that for now. So it's Shane_Ngwenya. That's the Instagram handle, where I usually stream live on a Sunday like we did today, and the message is already up. It's already up there. So
all right,
that's what it is.
Thank you so much, and you are very brave and bold.
Thank you.
And like I said, today it's really mainly about this side of things, the ministry side of things, your journey as a pastor as well. Wish everything of the best, and we know that this church is going to grow.
In the name of Jesus, we receive that. Thank you so much for the time, for the invite, for this great platform.
Thank you so much for joining us, guys. Till next time.